we're going to transition into our in-gathering Sunday, and so we have our final stewardship piece from Christina, and then I'm going to give some instructions for our in-gathering. So Christina, and don't forget your perfect.
People of God, how are you? Good, I'm glad. I'm almost here. I'll be here in a minute. But the good news is, at 8 o'clock, I left my script home. So they don't know what I said. They have no idea. I made it up as I went along. So I'll be a little bit more gathered at this point in time. Stewardship is a lot of things. We have our tripartite structure, right? Time, talent, and treasure. Thank you, all three of you. Time, talent, and treasure. So people get a little fearful of pledge because that means I have to do that, and I might not have the money. Some of us who aren't on fixed incomes, I'm fortunate and unfortunate enough to get the survivor's pension from my late husband, who was a British citizen. So thankfully, Her Majesty started it. His Majesty is continuing it. But due to the world economy, the exchange rate goes up and down and up and down and up and down. So when it's cut in pounds and sent to me in dollars, it has dropped as much as $300 in a month. So what I'm budgeting for this month is cut by $300. And then maybe a year later, it goes up $20. So it bounces back and forth, and I never really know what I'm going to get till it's in my account. So other people have far worse problems than I do, because I also get Social Security. And so there's a moment in time for all of us that just go, what if, especially now we're all a little concerned economically, but what if this happens, or what if that happens, or, you know, people have hurricanes and whatevers, and so things get a little scary. So we'll talk about that in just a minute, of what to do about that. But before we get there, I'm afraid to put this down, I'll lose it. Stay. One of the things that John Goodall asked me to talk about was, how did I ever come to write these prayers? Well, it's a funny thing happened on the way to church one Sunday. Actually, it happened before that. We used to have a Wednesday service, Eucharist service in the chapel years ago. And so people who work downtown, and some of us I was working downtown at the time, and some of us just were around the block, who came, and we had a nice little group of people. And his idea was for us, some people, to gather after that service and have a discussion about the coming Sunday lectionary. So we would talk about what it was and what we've heard about it and what we felt, and I think we were going to write a sermon. But anyhow, that's what it was to be. So it was myself and, where are you, DL? Sheila. She's over there somewhere. I can't see. DL's right where? To my left. To my other left. There she is. I knew she'd be here somewhere. This thing hides everything. Okay, I don't get up here often. Anyway, and now here I'm dragging through this. So there was DL, there was me, there was Father David, and there were two women from the Friendship House Day Center that came. And so we started to do that, and over a couple months, we went from 5 to 4, and then over another month or two, we went from 4 to 3, me, DL, and Father David. And we did that for a while. And one day, I don't know what he had for breakfast, but he said to me, I want you to write the prayers of the people for Advent 1 and 2. And I, being terribly shy and afraid of clergy, said, "What? I don't know how to do that." And he said, "Oh, you'll figure it out. I have written a thing or two here and there." Okay, so I immediately went to the prayer book and I looked at all 6 of the prayers of the people that are in the prayer book. Now, I don't know how many of you have been to how many other Episcopal churches, but I know from my own experience as an Episcopalian beginning in 1990, they were usually the same 1 or 2 every Sunday. They might alternate, they might do one for half the year and the other one. So it gets us to where we often are with hymns and readings in the prayer book and things that, well, we're mumbling syllables. We have no connection to the words or the spirit of the words. We're just, yeah, da, 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 which is how we get things like, when I was in the Catholic Church, Hail Mary full of grapes. Gladly the cross-eyed bear. And my favorite is, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So putting the new prayers in, a new way of doing prayer, was something he thought would freshen everybody up. Listen for a change, read the vision, things like that. So I just figured out that there is actually a theme going through some of the prayers of the people in the prayer book. Essentially, there's a general opening, and then there's something to help for the country, and then there's the next one is for the people who are sick, and then there's the dead people, and then there's the clergy, interesting follow-on, and then we have the collect. Now, collect is a funny way of saying collect. What we do with the collect is we collect the theme of whatever is happening just before that. So the closing collect in the prayers of the people gathers the threads that weave us into a tapestry of what we're doing. I was listening this time. So it's one way of doing that. So even in the prayer book, you have collects, and you have an opening collect, and that gives the theme of that's coming, and a closing collect that collects all that. So that's part of what I figured out, and I did Advent 1. It was hard, and I did Advent 2, and I thought, I'm done. And he said, "Oh, just go finish Advent." Okay. So I finished Advent. Go on into Christmas. All right. So I went into Christmas and Epiphany and Lent and Easter. And today, ending the season of Pentecost, or for those of you who are RC, recovering Catholics like me, ordinary time, I have completed 2 2/3 of the 3-year lectionary cycle of A, B, and C for 11 years. So, in the Gospel according to Tennessee Ernie Ford, if the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I might got another year in me. And if you don't know who Tennessee Ernie Ford is, too bad. Because you're not old enough and you missed a good guy. So, as we begin a new liturgical year, and we will be using Dr. Gaffney's lectionary, first of all, read the vision, because I know some of them end up in that basket out there. Take it home, read the vision. Because this week I've actually done a comparison of a little bit of her first readings to show you she didn't change the Bible. She's highlighting the people who have never been highlighted in the Bible, which are the women. She would say in her introduction in her book, there are 110 women named in the Old Testament. And in her surveys, people who've been going to church for years, reading the lectionary, can name maybe none or 5. So that's part of the whole piece about why we're doing that, to help you listen again. So I've been doing that. I'm going to continue to do that. They will not necessarily be in the service leaflet every week, but they'll be in the vision. But I'm not self-promoting, just so you know. I want you to be clear that I put everything on a blog as well, including my own sense of what the readings mean to me and how that spoke to how I devised the prayers. You may notice that sometimes I try every time to put actual phrasing from the Bible readings that we are given into the text of the prayers, and certainly in the response. So that's part of what I do, and it is on a blog site, and you can get that. It's usually in anything I write with the vision, the weekly e-blast reflections every third week, those kinds of things. But anyway, let me go on and get out of here because you're tired of it already. How many of you have been to a stage play or a concert or a sporting event and you bought tickets in advance and the last minute you couldn't go, so you had to try to either sell them or give them away? Anybody ever done that? Yeah. Well, guess what? You bought a ticket, or you didn't, but if you go, you see empty seats anyway, generally. And so whether or not you go, or whether or not you even bought a ticket, that show goes on, the game is played, things happen that have to be done, the lights, the water, the maintenance, the people get paid, and all of that. And so that's part of why we do need money here, because we have things we got to get done. Falling ceilings is never a good thing in a church, especially if you're sitting under them. But it's also important to understand that it's not about how much you pledge, it's about the actual signing the line to pledge. If you know that you can give $1 every week, clergy hate this part. If you know you can give $1 every week, pledge it. $52, one a week. And if you know you only have change this week, it's okay, throw it in there. If you have a little bit more next week, put it in there. But pledge $2, $1, $20, whatever you are certain that you will have to put in there. And then give extra when you can. And even better, if you do it online and you're out laying in your hammock some Sunday in the summer, it'll still go in. And so you won't shortchange your pledge by not being present or trying to catch up later. And DL can help you do that. Don't tell her I said that, because I don't know where she is at the moment. Or Scott can help you, or Dan, somebody can help you. It's easy, but if you're not online often, it's okay, just ask someone and they can do it for you. Now, if you've got a couple hundred thousand laying around, we're not going to worry about that, just, we're sorry to have you give it to us, but please do. So, here we are, at the end of the stewardship season, and everybody is happy when that happens. But the bottom line, of course, is stewardship is more than money. In the Genesis account, depending on the translation you read, we're either called as humans to have dominion over the creation, subdue the creation. We like to think it in our translation, the NSRV, be stewards of creation. Take care of it and help it. And you can do that in whatever way works. If you have some money, please pledge it. If you have some time, please give it. If you have some other treasure, talent, give that too, whatever it is. We're going to have a sewing ministry. There she is. I knew she's here somewhere. We're going to have a sewing ministry enjoy. That will be fun. But it's also a part of volunteering. Some of us who were at convention this week, I've added that to my year-end volunteer time because it was worth it. And those are the ways that we give to the church. But I want to get you a little more familiar with this word. If you have, pledge. See? I've just got it in her hair, don't tell her. Just like this can, when you spray it, cleans up your dust and polishes and hides scratches and maybe even fills in a dent or two. It does that for our budget. When you pledge money, when you pledge time volunteering in the office or helping on a special event day, or giving of yourself to run a ministry, adult education or a sewing ministry or friendship house, whatever it is that you can do, pledge it.
Thank you, Christina. First and foremost, if you volunteer for a ministry, please know 11 years is not a requirement.
Oh, I forgot to tell you that I asked him and he agreed to double my salary, so you should have been at that budget meeting.
So as we conclude our pledge drive, I just wanted to say a note of thanks and for gratitude. It was very, very evident last night in the panel discussion that Sony and I were at, how desperately the world needs faith communities like SsAM that are doing the work of justice, that are standing up for our neighbors who have no other voices, who are doing the work that God has called us to do. And that work is only possible as we as a community come together and pool our resources to do that work. So we are very grateful for your donations of your time, your talent, and your treasure. Very grateful to be a member of a community that does so much to make a difference for so many. So thank you. So if you would, open your bulletins.